Hi again. We collectively had our worst week of this year last week, which means 100 of you were winners, so congrats to all of you. Welcome to another Pigskin Picks brought to you by Lee & Associates Commercial Real Estate. Gene, I'm not sure there's a bigger game in the country than one that will take place in our own state, Louisville against Clemson, the big showdown.
So much at stake here. Maybe a spot in the college football playoff, the ACC championship, Heisman race. Warren, I look at this game, and Deshaun Watson is undefeated in all regular season games he's ever played as a Clemson quarterback in which he's finished healthy. Of course, the only game he lost that he finished healthy was Alabama, 45-40. Arguably, to me, that was his best game. But he hasn't played well against Louisville, got hurt against Louisville a few years ago, and then last year had kind of a tough go in a close Clemson win up there in Kentucky. It's hard for me to pick against Watson, but something tells me that Louisville is just this year's star. I love Lamar Jackson, and I think the Cardinals can pull it out in a close one at Clemson. And I think afterwards, Dabo Swinney's going to say, we're not out of the college football playoff yet, but I like Louisville in a very close, very high-scoring game.
Yeah, that's for sure. Is this the week that Louisville's offense finally slips into a lower gear? You know, we all thought they'd hit a speed bump or two against Florida State. The Clemson defense looked like its press clippings, I thought, against Georgia Tech last week, finally. I do think one key here will be Clemson's ability to run the ball and keep Louisville's offense from flying all over Death Valley on Saturday. So I'll take the Tigers here. What we do agree on is that it will be a wild one. The Gamecocks face Texas A&M. Is this where the season starts to drag out for South Carolina?
Well, the short answer is yes, because they have Georgia coming up next week, and then it gets a little easier. But Texas A&M's just playing pretty well now. Trevor Knight kind of feeling it at quarterback there for the Aggies. And, boy, the Gamecocks, they do a few things in spurts, like A.J. Turner has some nice runs, and McElwain looks good at making some decisions in the defense. Nice pressure on the pocket against Kentucky, but it's just never enough for a consistent amount of time. So I like Texas A&M by a couple touchdowns, Warren.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say the Gamecocks won't be favored in another game this year. A&M is good, very good. Would love to pick the upset here, but I don't see it. Charleston Southern moves back into the top 10 this week, and they head to Coastal Carolina. It's still a rivalry, but it's no longer a conference game.
Yeah, that's right. With Coastal Carolina kind of betwixt and between FCS and FBS getting ready to go to the Sun Belt, I like the way Charleston Southern played at Monmouth last week. That's a tough road trip. However, I think this is the kind of game that Coastal says, no, they can't play in a bowl game. They can't win a conference championship. That this is not a Super Bowl exactly, but it's one they'll really get up for. Still a lot of talent up there for Coach Moglia, and I think Coastal pulls one out here.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It is a tough game to pick because neither team is as good as they were a year ago. Coastal can actually improve its standing with a win over the Bucs, so that in itself is a little different. Jamie Chadwell, though, and his staff seem to know how to push the Bucs buttons in big games, and I'm going to take CSU in this one by a field goal. So there you are, just 3 of the 10 games on this week's list. Post your picks before the end of the day on Friday, and good luck.